Hello everyone, all 22 and a few film review giving you guys the next episode of Draft Wraps, my draft class analysis series where we dive deep into all 32 classes, letting you guys know how I feel about every pick according to my big board, who's left on the board positionally, is it a team need, is it a scheme fit. We'll be talking about the path to starting and immediate path for roles if guys are going to be kind of on the path to get an immediate role, all that good stuff. So if you're interested about the Ravens class or about any of the other 31 classes in the NFL, make sure you stick around, go through the channel, do whatever you got to do, see all the rankings. A ton of time goes into these, so I really appreciate all the support on them as we get through these series. Now again, I am recording this video and the next 4 to 5 videos back to back to back, so please bear with me if I am fumbling over my words at any point. I'm going to be gone over the weekend. I want to make sure you guys have videos every day so we don't stop the daily upload streak. Without further ado, let's get into the Ravens class here. A very, very deep class, 11 picks, also 5 picks in the 6th round. So, gonna try to fly through this one as they have a ton of picks. Probably gonna be a longer video. I gave this a B+, a 3.12, 3125 from the equation that I made for you guys so you could have a more concrete feeling about how I feel about every class, but also be able to stack classes with the same letter grade and see how I kind of felt about each of them individually. Just kind of a fun extra little thing to come back later and see where I was right, see where I was wrong, but it's mostly about the grades and the analysis here. Now they do have a B+, excluding the Mike Green pick, and we will get into that as we get through the class, but they have a ceiling on this class, the only class I graded this way, of a 3.227291, and it has a floor of a 2.810625. So it's basically a C+ or an A-, or right about at that A- level. And that's because the Mike Green pick is a very polarizing pick. We'll get to it as we get through this class. Let's start off with Malachi Starks, a safety out of Georgia, their first pick. The next pick, Mike Green, an edge out of Marshall. Then Emory Jones, a guard/tackle out of LSU. Teddy Buchanan, a linebacker out of Cal. Carson Vincent, a tackle out of Alabama A&M. Bilal Cohn, a cornerback out of Western Michigan. Tyler Loop, a kicker out of Arizona. LeJontay Wester, a wide receiver from Colorado. Aeneas Peebles, an IDL from Virginia Tech. Robert Longerbeam, a cornerback from Rutgers. And Garrett Dillinger, a guard from LSU. A lot of picks in this class. They hit a lot of guys that I really liked on day 3. Some picks that I didn't necessarily agree with, but let's get into it here. Malachi Starks with their first pick, taken at 27, a Georgia safety. No trade compensation on this one, they just sat and picked, which is very interesting for the Ravens. They love trading down, so the fact that they took Malachi Starks here means they really like Malachi Starks, especially if you look at their Ravens Wired that they release every year about their draft. They had a ton of calls about trading back, so I'm super surprised they didn't. Very happy for them. Safety was their number one need. Even before they brought Ardarius Washington back, unfortunately he's out for the year with an injury, which makes this even more of a need now. But before, they do their, I've talked about the Ravens time and time again, wanting them to take Malachi Starks for this reason, but they are the best when they are versatile with their secondary. Kyle Hamilton, as much as he helped them by moving to the back end, and Ardarius Washington also starting at a safety spot for them, help them. They are at their best when they can move those guys around. Ardarius Washington, they like to move around the box in the slot. Kyle Hamilton, they like to move all over the defense. And when they are not able to do that, they're much, much, much more limited in the defensive schemes that they're able to do. Also, it allows their corners to become more versatile. They like to use Marlon Humphrey in the slot a lot. They don't like to just stick him outside. They like to move him around a lot. So they need secondary depth to be able to allow these safeties and corners to move around freely. Malachi Starks absolutely does that. An A+ for me. He was a true first-round graded player for me, a top 12, number 12 on my big board, taken at 27. Absolutely love that value. The first safety taken off the board, my first ranked safety, so positionally, I think it's right where you should basically the best safety they could have picked, and they picked the best safety on the board in my opinion. I absolutely love this for them. Super versatile for them. He can play the deep when they want Ardarius or Kyle Hamilton to move around, play 2-shell. He can play in the slot. He can play near the box. He can move all over. Just a perfect scheme fit in a position in need. Absolutely love it for them. A 6'1", 197-pound safety, put up a 5.29 RAS. Didn't test that well, but this guy has very nice hips. I was very surprised by the lower agility testing. He does have very nice hips on tape. I'm not very worried about it. I just don't think he tested very well. Had 1 interception, 3 PBUs, 4 TFLs, 77 tackles, and 7 missed tackles on those attempts. Was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, a 2024 second-team All-American and SEC selection. Last year in 2023, he was a first-team All-American and a first-team All-SEC selection. A lot of people expected him to take an even bigger step up from his 2023 season. Played at a little bit lower level this year in 2024, but he was asked to do so much more. He was very, not limited, but they basically used him in a more limited role. He didn't move around a ton for them in 2023. He was playing deep, he was playing in the box, he was playing in the slot, he was playing 2-shot, like he was doing everything for them. So he was asked to do basically everything on their back end. And the Ravens, I think year 1 it's going to be a little bit more simple for him. I think he is going to move around a lot for them in the future. But again, this is a place that develops safety well, and he's going to a place with some good safeties in the room already. With Ardarius Washington going down, it becomes a lot more thin. They have Bo Brady, who was undrafted, and Tennessee Kane, who was taken, I think, at the back end of the 6th, if not the 7th last year. So you really needed safety, even with Ardarius Washington here. You needed depth. Would have looked a lot better with him still here, but arguably better with him not here because they need safety even more now. I just think it would have helped him more if they still did have Ardarius, but still, a great pick. I think he's going to be great in year 1. I think he's going to be a great safety for them down the line. An A+ grade for me. Absolutely love this pick. Their next pick, they go Mike Green, an edge out of Marshall. Again, no trade compensation with the 59th pick, the 27th pick of the second round. This gets an A+/C- for me. It really just is because of how late he fell. Now, if you listen to my edge rush video, if you listen to me talk about Mike Green at all during this process, you know how much I love Mike Green, the player. My second overall edge, a top 10 player in this class in terms of true talent to me. This guy is super nuanced at passing the rusher, knows how to win with power, knows how to win around the edge, can win with pure speed, has counter moves, has the nuanced tool belt. Despite being at 6'3", 250, defends the run at a pretty high level, a smart player. Absolutely love Mike Green. The reason he fell to 59 is because of allegations he had at Virginia that led to him being kicked out of the school. Those allegations were never proven. He never faced any legal ramifications for it, but Virginia had him on a no misconduct policy from trouble he had in high school, and then he had an allegation, gets kicked out, goes to Marshall. Now at Marshall, he had no trouble, but NFL teams investigated this situation themselves since there was no kind of further police investigation on it. And the fact that 32 teams didn't feel comfortable in the first and 26 teams didn't feel comfortable in the second tells me that, there's some concern there. I'm not saying he's guilty. I don't know the person. I don't know him personally. So, I'm not going to call him a bad guy at all. Again, I don't know the situation. All I know is he was kicked out of school for having a no misconduct policy and having some misconduct, even if it wasn't proven. And NFL teams looked into it themselves and still felt like they were not comfortable taking him. So again, I'm not saying he's guilty, but the fact that he's fallen to 59 in the second isn't a great look. It is pretty concerning. Also, the fact that they did this before they let go of Justin Tucker, who had 16 allegations against him, also didn't look great on the organization at the time for being so open to take on that. Now, in terms of true value, he's way too good. He's way too good to be at this spot. And that's why it can be an A+ if he could stay on the field, not get in trouble. This is probably the steal of the draft. This is someone who has the potential to be a top 10 edge rusher in this league. Super, super, super good at rushing day one. Still good against the run day one. Absolutely love his tape. But he is on a no misconduct policy with the Ravens. So, God forbid, if anything happens, he gets in trouble, he's going to be kicked off the team immediately. And that's why it also has the /C-. It really just depends on what happens. If he's able to stay on the field, A+ for them. If he gets kicked off the team in a year or two, it's going to look like a really bad pick that they shouldn't have taken. Again, I'm not calling Mike Green guilty at all. I'm not speaking on his character because I do not know him personally. That's just the nature of the situation. And the fact that he's taken at 59, it has to be something that is brought up and at least talked about. Again, I absolutely love the player. If he can stay, on the right path throughout his NFL career, this is going to be an electric player in the league. I'm very confident about that. This guy's so fun to watch. The fact that they were able to get him at 59 is absolutely insane, but it goes to show that there are some concerns. Again, 7th on my big board, my 2nd overall edge. He was the 10th one taken. So this can be the absolute steal of the class. The 6'3", 251-pound edge rusher. Didn't have enough testing numbers to qualify for RAS, but tested super well in the things he did test in. And if he did a full testing, he probably would have had a similar RAS to James Pierce Jr. I'm not saying he has that level of straight line speed like a 4.47, but this man's get off is incredible. He's bendy, he's twitchy, he moves well. This is an athlete, man. Reading the wrong thing, like I said, 5 videos at the same time. 17 sacks, 15 hurries, 2 PBUs, 84 tackles, 22.5 TFLs, and 3 forced fumbles in 2024. Absolutely electric production at Marshall. And you might be like, it's Marshall. He still played D1 FPS programs at Marshall. He played against Ohio State and looked very good against them. I'm not worried about it. Was a 2024 second-team All-American, Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year, and a first-team Sun Belt selection in his first year as a true starter. That type of production in his first year as a true starter, absolutely insane. Love this for them. I think it is an absolutely great pick if he's able to stay on the field. Now, the next pick, they go Emory Jones with the 91st pick, the 27th pick of the 3rd round. Again, no trade compensation for them. I didn't absolutely love this pick. The linemen love to take interior linemen in classes. They're going to do it at some point. I think there was some more pressing needs to go before they got guard. Maybe some IDL depth. They just lost Michael Pierce. That gives them a ton of early down usage. Getting another early down type of IDL I would have liked in this spot. I wouldn't even have hated, maybe bringing in another wide receiver, more of a possession style type receiver at this spot. I wouldn't have hated. Again, guard, I like them taking guard. Not necessarily at this spot. I don't know if he comes in and he immediately slots over Andrew Voorhees. A lot of people forget that Andrew Voorhees was a projected 2nd to 3rd round type guy before he tore his ACL, literally at the combine, and then ended up being a 7th round pick. Had some starting snaps for them last year, so he is going to come in and compete. He is the type of guard that they like to bring in, or the type of lineman they've been bringing in the last few years. Just big, wide, downhill guys that like to get after it in the run. He 100% fits that mold. In terms of guards available, he was my 11th guard. He was the 8th one taken off the board. But when we talk about that mold of big dudes that like to get downhill, he was the kind of the best one available in my opinion. So I understand that positional value. Was the 115th person ranked on my board. So in terms of true big board value, I just absolutely didn't love it. It's the back end of the 3rd, so I can't hate it. But at the same time, I thought he was more of a 4th round type guy. If they view him at guard, I like it a little bit better. But if they view him at tackle, he was more of a 5th round type guy to me, so it would make it even a little bit more scary. But I think they view him as a guard. I think he's going to come in and compete with Daniel Falalele and Andrew Voorhees for one of those guard spots. They don't seem like they necessarily 100% think those guys are their long-term options. They're not super, closed off on that mindset. So they bring in another guy to compete. I think he does compete. Not 100% sure if he wins the job. I thought he was a solid player. I didn't think he was a great player. Looked pretty good at the Senior Bowl, but in the tape, I just thought he was pretty lackluster in terms of pass protection. Again, I think he can mitigate that at guard, but still, didn't absolutely love it. A 6'5", 315-pound guard, 21, going to be 21 throughout the season, so you definitely like to see that. Didn't qualify for a RAS score, but honestly is a pretty solid mover for that size. He's not a bad athlete. 556 pass block snaps. He had 1 sack allowed, 4 hits, and 23 hurries allowed, starting over at that right tackle spot. But again, I think they're going to move him over to guard. Might mitigate those problems a little bit. Was a freshman All-American. This guy was super hyped up at LSU. The last 2 years, people thought he was going to be one of the top tackles in the class, if not the top tackle in the class. Just never really took that step up. A 2-time second-team SEC selection in 2022 or 2023 and 2024. So in his 3 years as a starter, freshman, All-American, and 2-time second-team SEC. It's pretty nice accolades for those 3 starting years. Just would have liked to see him take that next step up. Again, it gets a B for me. I don't hate them going guard here. I think the value just isn't necessarily that great. I thought there was some more impactful people on the board he could have taken. Got a guard in the 4th round that kind of gives you some similar play. But again, I don't hate it. A B for me. Their next pick, they go Teddy Buchanan, a linebacker out of Cal, with the 129th pick, the 27th pick of the 4th round. Again, no trade compensation. Very, very different for the Ravens. They love their trades. I like this for them. I thought Teddy Buchanan was more of a 5th round type guy. They got him at the very, very end of the 4th. Plus, I think he is a quintessential scheme fit for this team. So, I like it a lot. Not and I love it because I think this was around his value, maybe a little bit early for his value, but a super good scheme fit. I think they needed to take linebacker at some point in this class. I like Trenton Simpson. His snaps tailed off a lot towards the end of last year. They don't seem like they're 100% certain that he's their starting backer. Bring in another guy who's full-sized in today's league at 6'2", 233, moves around with his hair on fire. He ran a 4.6. I think he might move a little bit faster than that. He just plays at full speed at all times. Also put on like 25 or 26 reps on the bench and had like a 40-inch vert. So the explosiveness in his legs and his arms are definitely there. This is a very, very fun player to watch. Like I said, flies around with his hair on fire at 6'2", 233. Had 144 tackles, 12 TFLs, 5 sacks, 4 PBUs, 2 forced fumbles, and 10 missed tackles on the season. I'd like to see him get that missed tackle number a little bit lower, but that's some pretty nice production and the type of production that the Ravens like. They like linebackers that get downhill, play fast. They have their Roquan Smith already. He is their quarterback back there. He's going to set everything up, tell everyone where to go, make sure everyone's aligned right. They like their will linebacker, their second inside linebacker, to just fly downhill, blitz, plug gaps, not have a ton of responsibility, just play loose and go get the football. That's what this guy does to a T. So again, I think it is a quintessential scheme fit for them. Teddy was a 2024 first-team ACC selection in his first year at Cal. He spent his his prior years at UC Davis. So the fact that he was able to come in to Cal at a higher FBS D1 level and produce like this, you love to see it. Understand why he fell this far. There are some concerns with his game. He isn't the most fluid in pass coverage, but has all the athleticism to be able to grow into that role. Their defensive coordinator was an all-pro linebacker for the Ravens. So not only does he thoroughly understand the Ravens, but he knows the process of being a UDFA linebacker or a linebacker that's not taken super high and has to work and fill out their game to become a starter. I think, he's going to teach Teddy Buchanan how to do that. Absolutely love this for them. Absolutely love this for them. Not love, it's not I love it, but I like it a lot. I think he fits in super well. Their next pick, they go Carson Vinson, a tackle out of Alabama A&M with the 141st pick, the 3rd pick of the 5th round. Getting this in a trade back with the Titans. The Titans sent them 136, 183. They got back 141 and 178. Don't love this trade for them. You traded back 5 spots to trade up 5 spots later. I don't 100% understand that value in terms of how the picks are valued, but they do a lot of solid trades, so I'm not gonna be too on them about it. I just didn't really get it. And I see the vision pick. He is their scheme fit of the type of lineman they like to go after. 6'7", 314, absolutely giant tackle. I get it in that sense. Was a solid mover for that size. But man, I thought this guy was going to be like a 7th round type guy or an undrafted type guy. Being as big as he is, he only put up 14 reps on the bench, which is abysmal for a tackle. I think it was 5th percentile. not, you see it on tape, man. It's not great. Even at the FCS level, he's not an all-world protector at that level. At the Senior Bowl, looked okay in the one-on-ones, but like not someone you're super excited about. And then at the Senior Bowl game, this man was getting decimated off the edge. He was getting abused. So I was really not happy to see them take him this early in the 5th. Apparently their O-line coach was raving about him. So, it's the type of size they like at tackle. He likes to get after it, even though he isn't that strong. His, technique isn't that great. But has the size, has the length to be a starting tackle for you if you can hit his upside. If you can get him into a real kind of weight training program, not an FCS level one, and get him to put on some weight, get him to put on some functional play strength, this can be a pretty solid tackle for you. But I'm just concerned, man. This was really early for me. Gets and I see the vision because he is their type of guy, but still, it's like, a 23-year-old going to be 24 in the middle of the season, 8.09 RAS, like I said, tested pretty well on 447 pass block snaps at Alabama A&M. He allowed 2 sacks, 4 hits, and 4 hurries. Was a 2024 FCS All-American honorable mention and a first-team SAC selection in his FCS conference. Again, has upside, has athleticism, has length. This just was super early for me. Their next pick, they go Bilal Cohn, a cornerback out of Western Michigan with the 178th pick, the 10th pick of the 6th round. Getting this again from the trade they made earlier with the Titans them sending over 136, 183 to the Titans for 141 and 178. I love this, man. This would get, and I love it, if they didn't have so many bodies ahead of him that he had to work through. I thought Bilal Cohn would go somewhere in the back end of the 4th, maybe in the 5th, as a full-sized 6'1", 190-pound corner that is super aggressive, flashes some very nice stickiness, even though sometimes you can get a little lost, you can get a little handsy. This is a very nice athlete with starting NFL size, is super aggressive. He's the type of corner they love in Baltimore. They love guys that are not afraid to come downhill, defend the run, guys that are aggressive at the catch point, who like to play physical. Quintessential scheme fit for them. Super great value, in my opinion. Just, there's a lot of guys ahead of them. We talk about Marlon Humphrey. They have Nate Wiggins. They just brought in Chidobe Awuzie on a deal. They took TJ Tampa last year in the 3rd. That's pretty high value for a corner. You have to feel like they're at least expecting him to come in and play very soon. Didn't play nearly at all. I'm pretty sure he was injured throughout the year last season. But again, I expect them to want him to come in and compete and give value right away now that, he's not injured anymore. And then they also have Jalen Armour-Davis, who was a 5th round pick a few years ago, but he has been giving them a lot of rotational play throughout his time. So again, he's got a lot of bodies to go through. I don't think he's beating out Marlon or Nate Wiggins right away. They just brought in Chidobe, so it's hard to say if they're going to want him to battle over him. Again, TJ Tampa, they just spent a 3rd round pick on last year. So he's got all the skill, he's got all the upside to be able to beat those guys out and get a lot of rotational snaps, get some significant snaps, maybe some 2-minute or some dime. I expect him to get some snaps this season, just like I said. With that many bodies ahead of him, it's hard to say if he's going to get a lot of playing time this year or not. I don't hate them drafting corner despite all those guys, because the Ravens seem to have 3 or 4 injured corners every year. It's just something that happens to them. They always replenish and keep that cornerback room as filled as possible. So I like them taking him. Again, a 6'1", 190-pound corner, 23, going to be 23 throughout the season. 7.81 RAS, moves a lot better than he tested. The agility numbers weren't great for him. I think he's fine agility-wise. Not exceptional, but he can definitely burn vertically. 1 interception, 9 PBUs, 79.3 passer rating allowed, which isn't great, but it's all right. 70 tackles, 1 TFL on the season. Led Western Michigan in PBUs in 2023 and 2024, despite not being a full-time starter in 2023. So you love to see that ball production from him. You see the 9 PBUs. That's very, very nice. Again, I thought this was a great value for him. Just a lot of guys to go ahead of him. So gets and I like it. Not and I love it. Still, very solid pick here in the 6th. Next pick, they go Tyler Loop, a kicker out of Arizona with the 186th pick. the 10th pick of the 6th round. They got this as part of a trade down with the Jets. The Jets sent 176 over to the Jets, and they got back 186. They sent over 2026. I think they got back 2026 fifth. I think I have that down wrong in my notes. I need to change that real quick as I'm recording. If I'm wrong, I'm losing it. A 5'11", 191-pound kicker. Not a giant guy. He's a kicker. Going to be 24 throughout the season. I like it. I think this is a little bit early for a kicker. I don't like drafting kickers outside the 7th round, but at the same time, the first kicker went off the board a couple spots before this. You know, if you really want your guy and you feel like Tyler Loop's your guy, you have to take him now because there's no guarantee he's going to be there later with the first kicker going off the board, especially because I think this is probably a draftable kicker based on his career accolades. Had an 83.8 career percentage, completion percentage, which is pretty solid, especially for a college kicker. Was 6 for 9 on kicks of 50 plus in 2024, which is pretty great for a college kicker. Had a long of 62, so this guy can boot it. Was a 2024 All Big Ten honorable mention. He set his school record for the longest field goal, that 62-yarder, and a career field goal percentage. A 5-year starter at Arizona. He spent his first year punting during the COVID year. Since then, he's been kicking full-time. So, versatility, kicking and punting. A 4-year kicker, has career records at his school for the longest kick and highest percentage made. Now, if you're going to take a kicker, I feel comfortable taking this one, especially if one's already off the board. Also, considering the situation with Justin Tucker, they had to get a kicker in this room. Whether it was during the draft or right after, you absolutely had to with all the allegations going on with him. Very sad to see people do that stuff, man. Very, very, very sad to see people do that stuff. I hate to see people wasting their careers like that. Very depressing. LeJohntay Wester, their next pick, a wide receiver out of Colorado, taken with the 27th pick of the 6th round, pick 203. This was an I like it pick. Like I said, I wanted them to add kind of another body to their room. They add a true vertical deep threat wide receiver. 5'10", 163. Isn't the biggest guy. Isn't going to be used like that. And, you know, that's perfectly okay. He burns vertically, and that's what they're going to use him. They're probably going to use him on a lot of return stuff. They're going to use him to clear out safeties, probably get him some gadget snaps. This late in the 6th, I'm comfortable with that. You don't have a ton of guys you're super excited about in that room. You know, they have Zay, they have Bateman. Tylan Wallace is starting to step up for them. They took Devontae Walker last year, but still, it's not a ton of short bodies. I like getting another deep threat in that room just to, you know, help fill out that room in general. I think this was about the range LeJohntay Wester was going to go, so I think it's solid value. A 23-year-old wide receiver, again, 3.12 RAS. He's a deep earner. You're not going to be using him on much else. 74 receptions, 931 yards, 10 TDs, 12.6 yards per catch, which is pretty solid. A 2024 Big 12 honorable mention. Also the 2023 AAC Special Teams Player of the Year. He was at FAU prior to being at Colorado, where he was the Special Teams Player of the Year. Also set the record in single season at FAU for receptions, yards, and receiving TDs. So super, super ultra productive at FAU. Not exactly the level of competition that Colorado is at, but still. You love to see the history of production. You like to see the kick returning background. You'd like to see the deep threat ability. That's a lot of value here in the 6th. I like it, especially at the back end of the 6th. Their next pick, they go Aeneas Peebles, an IDL out of Virginia Tech, the 210th pick, the 34th pick of the 6th round. I love this pick, man. Love, love, love this pick. A lot of people had Aeneas Peebles in their top 10 or near it as an undersized but true pass rush type at 6'1.5", 282. Definitely not a big interior guy, but super twitched up pass rush specialist, a day one ready pass rusher, ready than most of the linemen in this class in terms of just true pass rush ability. This guy's got get off, he's got bend, he's got twitch. You know, he should at 6'2", 282, but a super fun pass rushing type. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy comes in immediately and gives pass rushing relief, especially since Michael Pierce left. Broderick Washington, Travis Jones, Nnamdi Adebayo are going to have to do a lot of early down reps. And Aeneas Peebles tells me that they're going to trust those guys a lot on early downs. And so they want a guy like Aeneas to come in on more pass rushing sets and give some relief to those guys. This is a guy you could scheme up on a lot of blitzes as a looper. Absolutely love it. I thought he was more of a fourth, maybe early fifth round guy because of the size. Getting him with the 34th pick in the sixth, incredible value in my opinion. I don't think he should have fallen this far. Again, 6 foot, 282, going to be 24 throughout his first year, 7.3 RAS, mostly held down by those, height, weight measurables. Super, super twitchy type player. 3 sacks, 4 hurries, 3 PBUs, 31 tackles, and 6.5 TFLs on the season. So honestly, not bad production for this late in the class. A 2024 third-team All-American and first-team ACC selection in his first true year as a starter. Love to see that for him. You think his best ball is ahead of him, especially going to a line like this where he's not going to be thrusted into an early down role. He could just focus on what he's good at. I love this for the Ravens, man. Love, love, love that. Their next pick, they go Robert Longerbeam, a cornerback out of Rutgers with the 212th pick, the 36th pick of the 6th round. This guy and I see the vision. As we talked about with Bilal Cohn earlier, they have a lot of guys in their room. Robert Longerbeam, makes like their 7th guy, and not a lot of teams are keeping that many corners on their roster. So I think he has an uphill battle just to make the roster, especially because I think Bilal Cohn, even if they were both taken in the same round, I think provides a better upside, especially for their division. Robert Longerbeam, a 5'11", 175-pound corner, smaller guy, had one of the highest missed tackle rates in all of college football last season. And when you're going to a division like the AFC North, where you're playing the Steelers, you're playing the Browns, you need to be able to defend the run. You need to be able to get dirty. You're going to be playing in cold weather. It's going to hurt. I don't really love it. And I think this is good value for him. Again, I don't think he should be here this late. I think he's a good cover player. I think he'd fit great on another team. It's just, on this scheme, there's a lot of guys ahead of him, and I don't think he's a scheme fit. Again, I see the vision because this type of talent, this type of athleticism, this late is just kind of too hard to pass on. But you have a lot of other bodies in the room. I don't think he's going to fit well at Baltimore. And I see the vision very, very almost leaning on I don't get it. But I like Robert Longerbeam too much at this value for it, and I don't get it. Again, a 5'11", 175-pound corner, going to be 25 in his rookie year, which you don't love to see for a corner. Had an 8.72 RAS, mostly held down by the height weight measurables. This guy flies all over the field. 2 interceptions, 11 PBUs, which you love to see, with that lack of size, and him still having good ball production. 73.3 passer rating allowed, which is nice. 45 tackles, 1 TFL. Was a 2024 2-time All Big Ten honorable mention in his last 2 years at Rutgers. Was a 3-year starter for them. Had 21 pass breakups in 2 years. Just great ball production. This late, that ball production, this athleticism, I get it. Just again, I see the vision because there's 6 guys ahead of him. He's a 175-pound corner going to the AFC North where it's cold and they like to run the football. So I don't think he's a great fit. Still a good player, though. Garrett Dillinger, a guard out LSU, their last pick, the 243rd pick, 27th pick of the 7th round. I like it, man. I like this a lot. Now, only had 291 pass blocks reps on the season because he got injured early. But on those pass block snaps, 0 sacks, 0 hits, 3 pressures. That is great production, even for 291 pass block snaps. Didn't even let his quarterback get touched. A full-sized guard at 6'4", 325. Love that. And he tested at a 9.75 RAS. Like, this guy had good get-off. I think he had like 30 reps on the bench. He jumped well. In the 7th round, I love that for them. Especially considering I wanted them to get some more interior depth at some point in this class. Like I said with Emory Jones, I don't hate them taking guard. Wish they waited a little bit longer to do it. If they didn't take Emory Jones, this is probably an I love it pick. Because you need more IDL depth. They don't like Ben Cleveland over there. Not a whole lot of other bodies that move you in that room other than your 2 starting guys. And even your 2 starting guys aren't impossible to upgrade over. You get a guy in the 7th round that put up like 30 reps on the bench, moves well for a 6'4", 325-pound guy, didn't let his quarterback get touched, and has starts at left tackle, left guard, and center in his career. And the 27th pick of the 7th, that is insane value to me. Full size, athletic, strong, good production, multiple starts across, multiple spots on the line. Didn't look exceptionally great in the Senior Bowl game in the one-on-ones. I thought he looked okay. For a 7th rounder, definitely looked fine. I like this. I think it's great value for them. Like I said, I think I wanted them to go with interior O-line at some point. Would have been an I love it if they didn't take Emory Jones in the 3rd, but this team loves taking O-line depth, so I understand it. I think this is great value. With this size, this strength, and these athletic attributes, this can be a true starting guard for you, a true starting lineman. Probably has a ton of distance to get to that point. He is taken in the 7th for a reason, but someone with this athletic upside, this strength, again, I think it's great, and I like a pick. That is the Ravens class. Again, is a B+ for me. That is taken without the Mike Green pick being factored in. I really hope the best for Mike Green. I hope the best for all these players. I don't know them personally. I don't know what happened at the situation. I hope it's nothing bad. I don't want to be rooting for a dude that's doing bad stuff. So I hope, he can get past that and grow as a person. Hopefully it didn't happen. Hopefully it is, just an unfortunate blip and a beautiful career for him. The rest of the class, I think they got a lot of guys that are going to come in and compete and play right away. Malachi Starks, Emory Jones, Teddy Buchanan, Bilal Cohn. Tyler Loop's going to be their starting kicker. I think LeJontay Wister probably wins a returning job. Nice. Peoples is probably going to get a lot of interior kind of reps. So the fact that this team has been performing the way they have, and they were able to get so many day 3 guys that could potentially come in to compete, I think this was a great class for them. Again, would be much more towards an A- with the Mike Green being factored in as an A+, but with the situation that's going on with that, it's too early to tell. You never know. It's a no misconduct policy that can be broken by any little stupid mistake that someone at this age might make. So, again, that conversation has to be brought up. Still a very strong class without that pick factored in. Would be even better with that pick factored in. I like this class a lot. Again, a B+ for me. If you like to listen to me ramble this long about the Ravens, I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the situation, what you think about the class, picks you like, picks you didn't like. Do I have it too low? Do I have it too high? Any feedback you guys have on anything you're seeing on your screen, let me know. Have at it. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great day. Thank you.